On Saturday, 18th October 2025, the United States witnessed one of the largest coordinated demonstrations in its modern history. Under the slogan, "No Kings," millions of Americans from all 50 states took to the streets to express alarm at what they see as a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of President Donald Trump and his administration during his second term in office. From the early morning hours, vast crowds began to gather in New York's Times Square, Los Angeles' Pershing Square, and Chicago's Grant Park, waving homemade placards and chanting rhythmic slogans. By midday, aerial footage showed seas of people filling thoroughfares normally choked with traffic. Police helicopters circled above, while local authorities diverted buses and subways to accommodate the flow of demonstrators. Organizers claimed that more than 2,500 rallies and marches were held nationwide, ranging from mass gatherings in the biggest metropolitan centers to candlelight vigils in small towns. They estimated total participation at around 7 million people, though independent analysts put the figure closer to 5 million, still one of the largest single-day mobilizations since the 2017 Women's March. The message was unified, but broad. Protesters accused the Trump administration of blurring constitutional boundaries between the executive branch and the judiciary, of using federal agencies to target political rivals, and of promoting what they called a dynastic vision of government through repeated references to Trump's family and campaign rhetoric. Many banners simply read, "This is a republic, not a monarchy." Others displayed artwork depicting the Statue of Liberty wearing a broken crown. In Washington, D.C., demonstrators flooded the National Mall, stretching from the Capitol's East Front to the Lincoln Memorial. Loudspeakers relayed speeches from civil rights leaders, former officials, and artists calling for a renewed commitment to democratic institutions. "We are here because power must remain accountable," shouted one speaker, as thousands echoed the phrase. The atmosphere was charged yet largely peaceful, with volunteer marshals moving through the crowds to keep march routes clear. Similar scenes played out across the country. In San Francisco, protesters marched over the Golden Gate Bridge despite heavy fog. In Dallas, demonstrators gathered outside the state capitol waving both American flags and placards reading, "Patriotism means dissent." In Atlanta, a coalition of student groups and veterans led chants of, "No kings, no crowns, no fear." Law enforcement agencies reported few serious incidents, though minor scuffles were recorded in Portland and Phoenix, where counter-protesters attempted to disrupt the marches. Most gatherings concluded before sunset with collective renditions of the national anthem or moments of silence for the Constitution. The protests followed months of growing tension between the White House and several state governments over executive orders expanding federal surveillance powers and new restrictions on media access to official briefings. Critics have described these actions as steps toward authoritarian governance. Supporters argue they are necessary to restore national stability. Internationally, the scale of the demonstrations drew widespread attention. Images of enormous crowds waving American flags appeared on news broadcasts across Europe and Asia. Britain's BBC News Channel described the turnout as a striking display of civic mobilization in the world's oldest continuous democracy. France's Le Monde compared it to the anti-Vietnam War protests of the late 1960s, while Germany's Der Spiegel called it America's democratic alarm bell. Despite the magnitude of the event, the tone in most cities remained resolutely peaceful. Police departments praised organizers for cooperating with authorities, and there were widespread reports of protesters assisting officers in directing pedestrian traffic and clearing debris. In Boston, volunteers distributed water bottles labeled "Liberty, not loyalty." In Seattle, local musicians turned intersections into impromptu concert stages, playing folk songs from earlier protest movements. For many participants, the rally was about more than opposing a single leader. It was, they said, a statement about the resilience of American democracy itself. "This isn't about left or right," said 29-year-old teacher Maya Henderson from Detroit. "It's about reminding everyone that no one man can own the presidency. We elect presidents, we don't crown them." Political analysts noted that the No Kings mobilization appears to have drawn support from an unusually broad coalition. including progressives, moderates, libertarians, veterans groups, and even some conservatives disillusioned with Trump's governing style. The diverse participation, they said, reflected a deep unease about the perceived erosion of institutional checks and balances. As night fell, cities lit up with phone torches and LED candles. Drone footage captured sweeping aerial images of illuminated slogans spelling out, "No Kings 2025," across stadiums, parks, and bridges. For many Americans, the day ended with a sense of catharsis and uncertainty. Relief at the peaceful turnout, but lingering questions about whether their message would lead to any change in Washington.